All right, welcome everyone. Dr. Paul Greenberg and Dr. Leroy Simpson are your session co-chairs for this panel discussion, UAGC Culture of Care, Educational External Reviewer Perspectives, starring our panelist, Britney Monroe. Rebecca Wilson was going to join us, but she's unable today. So Britney is going to give us some important feedback about what she's seen. And for background, Britney is a licensed professional counselor in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Washington State. She's also a behavioral health consultant and adjunct faculty member at Atrium Health, Wake Forest Baptist, and Central Mission University. Britney, thank you so much for being here. We would love for you to share some of your experiences and takeaways as you are participating in a UAGC programmatic external review this year. So for our first question, what made it clear to you that care in our culture is of high importance?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I'm glad to be here. So yeah, it was really initially just interacting with the faculty staff. It was an instant, these people care about their students, and it was really cool to see that. And the different ways I saw that was just through how I was treated with care, through just the very student-centered language that I heard. And it was just really neat to see the pretty much personable approach that happened with the external review. It was my first time doing external review with UAGC. I've done some type of auditing before, but not in that capacity. And so, yeah, I could just tell that I was valued, and I appreciated that too. So that was one big thing that I noticed. Yeah.
It's our pleasure, and we value your presence here today as well. So I'm happy to continue that tradition
Yeah.
of care. As much as we work to, do as much as we can for students, it's always important to get a fresh set of eyes, ears, and perspectives on these. So, did anything from like first jump out, or when they maybe the first item that you looked at, was there something different about it that you noticed the care in it versus just another type of review?
Right. So I noticed that there was definitely accommodations for accessibility, just in general, with how the review went. I could tell through the courses, because I was able to look through a course, how that was accommodating and engaging for students. I thought that talking with the faculty themselves and how they were passionate about teaching the students and just wanting to be there for them. That was a really big thing that hit home. Um, and I think my most like the most favorite thing I I got to see was the students just saying, "I'm just so glad that my faculty members understand. Like they are okay if I have to turn in late work because they understand my experience as an adult learner." um, it was really cool to hear the just very diverse population of students being in the military, being having full-time jobs themselves. This is their second career, possibly. It was just so many different students that are having the opportunity to learn and not being discouraged from higher education. Like they can do it in spite of their circumstances or what they're having to navigate. So I think that's what really stood out to me and set you all apart for sure, was seeing that the relationship with between each other as a staff faculty, between the students and the faculty staff, and then even with the students creating their own type of connections and belongingness. Like you could see it just through that 2-day review, which was pretty cool.
And we are delighted that that shows through. Each of us individually tries to do as much as we can to make school accessible, to make it achievable, to make it valuable, and to make it memorable. And just hearing about your experiences, because you've now seen more widely than most of us will, see on a regular basis. So it's a good check and a good report to hear what you've said. Leroy, would you like to add on and maybe bring us into question 2?
Oh, I would love to, Dr. Greenberg. Thank you so much for passing the baton to me. So, Miss Monroe, if you would please educate and enlighten us on what ways did UAGC staff and faculty show care to you during that process? Enlightened minds would like to know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I had already mentioned the accommodation piece. So just having someone check in before the actual reviews were starting and going through exactly what was expected, what was going to happen, see if we had any questions, check-ins weeks before, days before. That was really helpful. So I would say just big on like communication and responsiveness was very quick. That was really good. I know that we both have our own jobs, and so we were trying to write the report, and it was like the 9th hour. We were like, you know what? We need to add more to this, and we thought that we had it, but we were like, you know what? It's more. So then we asked for a little bit more time. We were like, can we have the weekend? And it was like, yeah, that's fine. And so we were like, oh, thank you. So like that was helpful. It wasn't like, get it done by this time and judgment happened, it was just very understanding there. We were asked throughout the days if we needed time. I did think that it was very intentional about us having breaks throughout the time because that could definitely be some like screen fatigue and all the information that we were receiving. So it was always time for questions and people were open to answering those or getting back to us with the information, not just saying, oh, I'll look into that. Like it was actual like responsiveness within a few hours or the next day of the review, which was really, really nice. It just made it seamless. Like I didn't feel like I had to worry about doing anything. I just logged into Zoom, took my notes, asked questions, engaged with folks. I had a good time. So I think a lot of planning and preparation went into that for it to be so smooth. So I guess when I think about it, I think about accommodating, asking for what someone needs, being promptly responsive, and just showing a genuine caring attitude towards others. I think those were like the main points that I experienced myself.
Wow, I mean, how do you really follow that? I'm glad and humble that you saw that in your review. And yeah, we do need a little bit more time. It's hard to kind of cram all that goodness and wonderfulness into, you know, just one little kind of review. And you like it. So you were a weekend warrior for us, and it's much appreciated. Much appreciated. Which actually you kind of segue into my next question. I think you answered half of it, but I'm going to ask it just for
Oh,
fun.
okay. Okay.
So, curious.
Mhm.
Did you have takeaways from the experience that you have implemented or want to implement in your own work culture?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a really good question. I could take some time on this. I would say that I thought about the experience. Well, writing the report makes you really reflect, but I also reflected on just um like that last question was how I was treated, how I saw the students engage with um me and Rebecca, how I saw all of those different things, the faculty, staff, and just all the hard work that goes into everything. And while I was reflecting on that, I'm like, I love to learn, educator here. So it's like, I wonder what I could take away from this school because I feel like I didn't come in as like an expert. I might have had some suggestions that I've seen somewhere else, but it was more so, I kind of had a name to what I was already doing in my classroom, which I thought was interesting because I hadn't heard of the culture of care. And then you all gave me that information. I researched it and I was like, huh, I like this. But it was giving a name to what I was already doing. And so I am trying to be more intentional as I teach, implementing aspects of what I saw in UAGC. Um, and so some things that I thought through, which I already do because I am teaching counselors how to be counselors pretty much. And so the biggest thing about counseling is the relationship. So I try to model that as an educator, how to build relationships with others in a very natural way. So I already was doing that, but it did make me take pause and think, okay, so I have a lot of synchronous classes online. So in those classes, how do I engage with my students in a way that does help them feel like they belong to the classroom, feel like it's a safe environment, and they can communicate with me and not have that traditional feeling of fear the professor so you can get a good grade type of vibe. So pretty much how I'm talking now, I try to just be a regular person with my students and say, hey, we'll get through this together. And I'm a support system. So I kind of thought that through with how I was teaching in ways of counseling is mastery, pretty much. So yeah, you can turn in your work, but if you're not mastering the content, then I'm leery of you being able to sit with somebody because their life is in your hands at some point. And so that's what's really important about what I'm teaching is like I'm pretty much a gatekeeper in that sense. And so what I've implemented actually is saying, I need you to have mastery of this information instead of just turning it in on time. So if you can't get it in, then, tell me, email me something. And if you have questions about it, let's talk through it. So what I do at the beginning of every class is I make sure I ask to see if they have any questions about the assignments. I go over the assignments in detail because yeah, you can read it, but you might not completely understand because everybody learns differently. So that gives them an open space to do that. Even if it's not a synchronous class, I also have an area in the learning system, pretty much like a student lounge, that's what I call it, or a Q&A for them to put stuff in. And it's been helpful because I do get a lot of emails from students and it helps me not get frustrated sometimes when students are emailing me at 11 o'clock at night when the assignment is due on a Sunday. And then it's happening every week. And I'm like, why are they doing this every week? Okay, time management, right? And so instead of thinking, tisk, tisk, at the time management, I'm thinking, what is happening for this to happen? It could be anything going on in their life. So I always ask that, how can I be of support to help you do better in this course? And from that point, that's a lot of times when they do open up and talk about what's going on, I might give them strategies. I might help them with resources, and see what they actually need outside, like different aspects of the university could have resources to help them. And then I'm more understanding because that happens. I mean, there's been times when students have realized that they might actually have a medical issue and they're not getting accommodations for that. And they're in the middle of like learning about what's going on. So that could be why. I mean, I've had students going through divorce or job changes or having to take care of their parents that are ailing. Like there's so many different things. And so I think that this experience helped me reflect on how to approach these students differently, for sure.
I mean, I'm just gonna do this.
Oh,
This
cool.
Yeah.
nice clap, nice clap. I mean, I was sitting there taking notes and just like jotting stuff down. Two things came to mind:
Okay.
partnership and relationship. Like,
Yeah.
if I had to just condense that into one ball, it sounds like you were talking that it's like you're the learning partner now. It's not like the days of old when we were in school. It's like, no, you better turn this assignment in on time or you get a zero. You're more like, you know what, let's get through this. And if UAGC imparted that on you, then we reached our goal as educators, because sometimes it's not necessarily about being rigid with rules, but
Mhm.
to also have accountability. And it seems like you are walking that line very smoothly.
Oh, well,
So,
maybe
well,
not. I'm
I'm gonna say,
trying.
well, I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that you're getting there. You're getting there. It's no
Yeah.
stumble though. You're getting there. You're getting
Yeah.
there. And it sounds like you've taken a lot from what we do and how we approach things, especially with students, because it's about building relationships. Because you know what, as professors, we need to be there. Yeah,
Right.
it is business. It is accountability, but at the same time, it's like, we are there where they're trying to get to. And sometimes that we need to move the business aside and be like, okay, let's just talk educator to student and let's see how we can get through this problem.
Right.
So thank you for that. Thank you for that
Mhm.
enlightenment. Dr.
Oh,
Greenberg, can you bring us home with our last question? I'm
oh,
sorry.
I had another comment. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yes, we want
Please,
to hear
About
the
please,
other.
please.
Please.
Yeah, just one more thing about that, like I forgot to mention is that I was already doing this, but it was almost validating that other schools are doing this as well, like caring about the students. So one of the things is when I was talking about the mastery is that I help relieve their stress in the first session or week or whatever and say, I know your grade is important to you, but if you don't turn in a well done assignment, I'm going to come back to you and give you another chance to do it instead of just grading it. And normally, if they're like synchronous, you just see the shoulders go like, oh, okay. So she's here with me. And like online virtually is a little different, but like the synchronous piece is cool to just see the literally the shoulders like just reduce and say, okay, I can turn in like to the best of my ability, but if it's not good enough because that mastery piece, then I can work with my professor to get there so I can have the skills I need. So I just wanted to mention that piece too.
Oh no,
Well,
there's
that's
nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with a little education. And let me transfer to Dr. Greenberg. Dr. Greenberg, please bring us home.
I was going to say that's fantastic, and it makes me think of another related question because our work is asynchronous for the most part. We do have some live events and opportunities for students, and we certainly have that on a per person basis. We let students know that they can contact us, we can talk, we can chat, we can text, we can Zoom, all that. But I really enjoyed hearing your description of people just visibly relaxing when you say something. So now that you've done the review of our programs, do you have any tips that you would that you can recommend to asynchronous
Mm,
online programs based on the reactions that you've seen from the live classes, and what has helped them when they respond to your caring actions?
that's a good question. I would think that I have taught asynchronous classes, and what I've done is given students the opportunity to have a live session with me to do a discussion board live instead of doing it like our traditional discussion board saying, hey, you can either do it traditional because I know you can't make it at this time, or if you would love to do a live session, you can join for an hour and as a class we'll talk about it. And so a lot of students like that, and it really depends on how many students come. If it's a large amount of students that do arrive, then I'll put them in breakout rooms. And so then they discuss within groups. And what I saw was an increase in like the cohorts or just people taking similar classes together actually becoming friends or working on projects together, or just feeling a sense of community, feeling like they're not alone. The students like being able to talk in that sense if they weren't able to, and it was optional. So I will say that that was one thing that was really neat, but in the asynchronous forms, without that, I just make sure the communication is always there and responsive. So I try. So I'm gonna say try to respond to students within 24 hours. Sometimes it's 48, and then so that they have what they need, because courses are pretty fast paced. I know y'all's are faster than mine. Normally mine is 8 to 16 weeks, and I know y'all's are normally 5 weeks. But yeah, I think that's one of the main things. I think keep doing what you're doing. It seems to be working, right? So,
Well, we certainly like to hear that. I was just impressed by, your mention of the importance of helping students get over their fear of the classes, fear of the professors. And so it's really good to hear your comments on there. I do have a few more questions that brings up, but before we do that, I want to make sure that we ask the final standard question, which is, do you have any additional questions you would like to be asked about your experiences?
oh, I don't believe so. Um, do do we go to like a Q&A after this? Is that what happens? I'm just curious.
Well, we go to the Q&A, but like see if I can just add a little bit more value to that question. So if you were being interviewed, what it could be a faculty member, beginning or experienced. It could be somebody that really just wants that's new to online learning.
Mhm.
So what's that sweet spot question, right? Like, you know what, you have it in this mind. I wish this person would ask me this, so I like talking about this. You follow? So like, what is that question that you kind of always wanted to be asked, if I can rephrase it in that manner?
Oh, that's even a I, mm, let me think. A question that I always want to be asked. I guess like how do you maintain or continue the culture of care when you're feeling burnout?
Ah,
That's wow. Yeah. Yeah. That my heart kind of had a little electrical jolt
Mm,
asking that question. Now you may think that's simple, but I mean it's like, when we're fatigued, how do we care for others in the
mhm.
classroom, especially mentally, since we're, online and engaging students? Because, it's I equivalent this to having like, me and Dr. Greenberg may be having the worst day, but then we gotta put on this smile after having a very rough day for a student who did absolutely nothing, who just said, "Hey, can I have some feedback on my paper?" Or better still, "I don't like the feedback you gave me."
Oh, yeah.
And that's adding, that just added another piece of cheese on the sandwich that you didn't want. So I
Mhm.
think that's an important question, just in my view, because it's like we have to find a way to carry on, even if it means stepping back for a minute, because again, we have to get in the frame of mind of, I don't know if y'all saw that meme, y'all from the South, by the way. If you've
Me
seen
too.
that,
Can you not tell?
that meme where you have the soldier kind of protecting the child and all kind of guns and bombs coming, we still have to be there for those students. And here we take the culture of care very seriously, even if that means a little bit of our sacrifice, not total to where we are feeling burnt out and super burnt out and we can't answer questions. But if we feel burnt out, and that because as an educator, our answer could mean that student's future path. I mean, I believe that a
Mm,
teacher is as close to a parent as possible, and next to almost, because we're shaping, we're giving hope, we're motivating, and we're educating. So
mhm.
my my personal opinion, that question was very much top notch. Like that was really, really kind of deep for thought engagement. Dr. Greenberg, what do you think?
oh, absolutely, because it's on people's mind. and people are searching for answers and they're tired and they don't know where to go maybe. So we just co-chaired Dr. Savannah Thomas's talk, Daring to Transform, Addressing Burnout in BIPOC Educators Through Collective Wellness Practices. So now we have a link to specific researched options people have to help themselves throughout burnout. And that's done within our Culture of Care conference here at the summit today. So you're thinking about that. Other people are thinking about that. And it's certainly beneficial for others to notice that. And now we actually link to recorded resources that we have for some suggestions. So that was, Britney, yeah, that was such a great answer. And it, just brought up such that critical issue.
We got Dr. Greenberg, we got a few Q&As that have come up. You want to get to those?
I don't see them.
Well,
Can you grab those?
I got them pulled up, so I got you.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Britney, here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Question number 1. Can you explain again which program was reviewed, and were there any experiences you had that you thought would not, in big old capital letters, carry over to your institution?
I wonder if it's any experiences with the actual review itself.
It could be. It could be.
Okay.
Which program was reviewed, and from that program, would any experience that you would not carry over to your institution?
Okay. So I would say, I'm thinking back, it was a few months ago, but it was the Bachelor's of Arts in Health and Human Services, that degree. It was really cool to see what they're doing. And what I would not carry over, maybe not from the review itself, because I thought that was great, but maybe in general from university stuff. And I understand the type of university and how it keeps everything organized. But as a instructor myself, not having ability to make any edits in a course would really freak me out. And so I noticed that and I was like, oh, but I know that's a good thing for some professors because they don't need to do that at all. They don't need to be able to touch a thing, and they would love that. And then they're just like, let me go in and put my expertise in the announcements and then put it in discussion boards and all that stuff. So yeah, I would just have to adjust to that. But I think if they're able to show their expertise, and then that's okay. But that was the only thing that I was like, I I don't know how I would handle that personally, but and just yeah, I think that might have been it.
Oh, no, and no pressure, by the way. We're not trying to put you too much on the spot.
Oh
But
yeah, no.
but that was good. That was good. Thank you for sharing. Now, the next question from our audience is, can you give a few more details about the program review process itself?
For sure. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I was pretty much interviewed to say, hey, is she a good subject matter expert that would be able to look at this program with fresh eyes, have a different perspective? And the answer was yes. And so we went on with that. And I had mentioned before that I received several emails about the process, what was expected. So a report was expected at a certain period of time, that I needed to be available for 2 whole days, virtually synchronous. And it was pretty much an overview of the whole university of what was the resources that students receive. So it was a bunch of student affairs. There's a lot of data. It was the curriculum itself. Got to talk to leadership, talk to the professors themselves in breakouts, talk to students themselves in breakouts, really interact with the program chairs themselves. and got to really see a cool deep dive into as if I was a student or if I was a faculty in the program, online through the learning management system. And that was pretty much the process, asking for feedback a lot. Just it was nice discussion, kind of like it was refreshing to talk to other educators and leaders in academia, like about different things and about the changes that they're making, like the improvements, maybe some gaps we saw and how that could be addressed. So that was mainly the process. I don't think I'm missing anything. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sweet. Thank you very much for
Mhm.
enlightening. And last but certainly not least, how well do you believe UAGC does in balancing following policy while leading with care after your review?
Oh, that's a good question. After my review, do I think that there's balancing of policy and culture of care? It did appear that way. And I am, and it was, it was 2 days. And I am curious how it continues to play out. Like I was talking about the burnout, just because there is very like strict, okay, you must turn in your you have a deadline to grade things. So students have what they need in a certain period of time. And that's for most universities anyway, but I know that's a quick turnaround for faculty to that deadline to get things graded throughout the course. And so it seems like UAGC sticks to that policy, but also says they care for the faculty in terms of if stuff is going on in their lives, then there are other faculty that can support the grading. So I thought that was a nice balance where it's like, well, we're not going to say you have to do this. And then, oh, sorry, if you can't, that's on you, you're going to get bad review, like something like that. So I thought that was cool to see that balance. Also, there is still accountability to students in their grades and turning in their work. And I was able to see rubrics and how they really measure that. So it's still academic rigor, but also showing that you have staff and faculty that care to help you achieve what you want to achieve. So I thought I saw a pretty good balance there. I mean, nothing's perfect for sure. So I think it's always like trying to understand that. And it's pretty cool because you're having the summit. So that means you all are talking about these things and still trying to improve and make sure that that is a core part of your university. So I thought that was cool.
Excellent. I like how you use the word cool too. I like how you got that in there. That was smooth, smooth.
Oh,
So, well, talk about to be informated and educated. Brittany, we thoroughly appreciate the just the insight that you brought to us. I mean, it's here at UAGC. Not only is it good to be actually in the mix of doing all of what you say, but to have somebody observe it and be like, you know what? Well done. Well done. Y'all are really doing it right because as educators, we put a lot of effort
yeah.
into what we do. I mean, it's really just a true culture of care because you know what, in this day and age with so many distractions, so many pressures, and so much to balance, as you just got finished educating us on, this, I don't even think education is a one person job anymore. It really takes a partnership to get really both of us where we need to be. And I say both of us as an educator, as a student, because another session I went to talked about co-learning. Because you think as a doctor, you think doctor knows best, and that's not always the case. And students take time to educate us to see what we can do better and how we can do better in our current role. So for you kind of looking at, looking through the porthole and being like, yeah, they're doing all right. They are doing all right. It's a really a kind of a Girl Scout badge of honor. I'm, picturing the sash right now. So thank you for your insight. Thank you for sharing, your view with us. And I hope we can top that. I really hope we can top that. But it feels good. It feels good to hear that pat on the back in so many words, of course. And it shouldn't be any other way because, culture of care is just not a brand. It's not a brand at all. It's how we live, how we educate, how we work, the norms, the values, the behaviors, all of that. So, Dr. Greenberg, anything, other questions, comments, concerns, or thoughts? So group any other questions, comments, concerns, or thought we have with Miss Britney before we sign off.
Just want to say thank you again. The detail in your answers was really, really fun to hear, and you made a good case for the benefits of doing a review. As you were explaining what you saw, I was just thinking about, what would it be like not to see these things? But now that you have seen that different perspective, and we really appreciate this feedback. Our audience appreciates this feedback too. So thank you very much again. And on behalf of the Department of Behavioral Sciences at the University of Arizona Global Campus, thank you. And please have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you so much. I enjoyed y'all.
We enjoyed
Our
you
pleasure.
too.